Good day, beautiful people. Today we will take a look at your blood in the urine. Still, we are under the chemical examination of your urine. Yes, we will take a look at your blood. Please note that the presence of an abnormal number of blood cells in the urine, you call it as hematuria. Again, hematuria, this is the presence of an abnormal number of red blood cells in the urine. Okay, and yes, it is not normal. Presence of abnormal number of red blood cells in the urine is not normal. Okay, and so just to give you another one, your hemoglobinuria, these are the terms that we will encounter. Okay, and so yes, that we will encounter frequently, okay, throughout this video, throughout this lecture. Your hemoglobinuria, this one is the presence of free hemoglobin in the urine, and then you have myoglobinuria as the presence of myoglobin in the urine. Okay, you have hematuria, hemoglobinuria, and myoglobinuria. Those are the terms that we will frequently encounter throughout the lecture. Hematuria, as what we said earlier, it is the presence of abnormal amounts of red cells in the urine. And you have gross hematuria, and there is also microscopic hematuria. When you say gross hematuria, then there is a reddish coloration or reddish color of the urine. Okay, there is a red color of the urine. And when you examine it under the microscope, you have a lot of red cells present. Okay, gross hematuria, you have a cloudy red urine or smoky red urine. While microscopic hematuria, there is such a thing as microscopic hematuria. Microscopic hematuria, the color of the urine is somewhat normal, okay, normal yellow or dark yellow, but then upon microscopic examination, a microscopic hematuria presents a greater than 3 red blood cells per high power field. Again, in microscopic hematuria, there is greater than 3 red blood cells per high power field. Please note that this is not enough to produce this number greater than 3 red blood cells per high power field is not enough to produce a red color or pink color pink color of the urine sample. Okay? Hematuria is caused by trauma. Okay, and so hematuria is caused by trauma that is either caused by renal calculi. Okay, renal calculi, of course. Okay, and so the calculi, it tries, I mean, it the calculi, or yes, it tries to fit itself in the small tubules of, in the small lumen of the tubules. And as it tries to fit itself, okay, and so it can cause a trauma to the tubules, causing bleeding. Same also with cystosoma hematobium infection. The cystosoma hematobium infection can lacerate or can cause trauma, okay, to your tubules also. Okay, aside from that, renal or genitourinary bleeding, the use of anticoagulants, exposure to toxins, uh, neoplastic and non-neoplastic conditions will cause hematuria. What else? Bleeding disorders and anticoagulant usage will cause hematuria or will, yes, produce hematuria. Cyclophosphamide also, this is a drug, and yes, it can cause hematuria also. Glomerulonephritis and pyelonephritis, okay, they produce a yes, they cause hematuria also. Please note that in such case, blood can and yeah, in hematuria, blood can enter or red blood cells or blood can enter the urinary tract anywhere from the glomerulus to the urethra. Okay, blood can enter the urinary tract anywhere from the glomerulus to the urethra. If the glomerulus is damaged, red cells can leak out. If the glomerulus is damaged, again, red cells can leak out. And yes, they can leak out going to the ultrafiltrate going to the renal tubules. Please note that there is no such thing as reabsorption of red cells, unlike in your other analytes, unlike in glucose, that they are reabsorbed. Okay, please note there is no such thing as reabsorption of red cells, intact red cells. There is no such a thing. Okay, yes. Also, contamination, okay, contamination of yes, contamination by menstrual blood, okay, will cause hematuria also. But then, of course, it does not indicate a disease process. It is a non-pathologic cause of hematuria, as well as strenuous exercise. Strenuous exercise uh, is not actually is not a pathologic cause of hematuria. Okay, that is for your hematuria accordingly. Please note that renal biopsy has disclosed several histopathologic findings of kidneys showing hematuria, which include membranous nephropathy, IgA nephropathy, non-IgA mesangial-proliferative glomerulonephritis, and focal glomerulosclerosis, as well as glomerular abnormalities. Again, renal biopsies has disclosed these histopathologic findings in individuals presenting hematuria. And yes, these histopathologic findings include membranous nephropathy, IgA nephropathy, non-IgA mesangio, proliferative glomerulonephritis, focal glomerulosclerosis, and mild glomerular abnormalities accordingly. Okay, please note of that. Okay, and so if you were asked what parasite causes gross hematuria or hematuria, you have Schistosoma hematobium. Okay, and then you have hemoglobinuria. As what we said earlier, there is the presence of hemoglobin, free hemoglobin in the urine. And usually, this one is caused by transfusion reactions or hemolytic, yes, hemolytic transfusion reactions, hemolytic anemias, severe burns, infections, toxins, strenuous exercise, and urinary tract bleeding accordingly. Okay, please note that lysis of red blood cells will release hemoglobin. Okay, if you lyse or if you swell a hemoglobin, yes, if you burst a red cell, if you burst a red cell, you will liberate hemoglobin. Okay, and lysis of hemoglobin is enhanced in alkaline urine or dilute urine. Okay, in dilute urine, there is a specific gravity of less than 1.010. Okay, and so yes, in such cases, please pakibalikan po, please go back. Okay, or yes, go over the concepts of tonicity. Okay, and so what happens if you have a hypertonic or yes, hypotonic one? Okay, and so either the cell will burst or the cell will shrink. Okay, that is in that is in relation to lysis of red cells. Anyway, okay, you have myoglobinuria. Myoglobinuria again is the presence of myoglobin, and that is caused by destruction of your muscle fibers. But then, just to give you an idea, your hematuria is relatively common. It is common, while your myoglobinuria, it is rare. Myoglobinuria is rare. And hemoglobinuria is uncommon accordingly. Hemoglobinuria is uncommon. Hemoglobinuria, as what we said earlier, okay, it is caused by intravascular hemolysis. There is an intravascular hemolysis, and yes, last time, I mean, I always tell you this one. Anything that is increased, okay, in the plasma will be reflected in the urine. Anything that is increased in the plasma will be reflected in the urine. So let's take a look at this one. Hemoglobinuria. It is caused by intravascular hemolysis. What happens in intravascular hemolysis? The red cells are lysed, releasing hemoglobin. The red cells are lysed, releasing hemoglobin, causing an increase in the hemoglobin levels in the plasma. Intravascular hemolysis causes an increase hemoglobin levels in the plasma. And yes, please note that any cause of hemolysis has the potential to cause hemoglobinuria. Again, any cause of hemolysis has the potential to cause hemoglobinuria. Okay? Yes, let's take a look first at your plasma or at your serum here. Uh, Hemoglobin levels at concentrations of 50 milligrams per dl, it will give you a pink plasma. Hemoglobin concentrations at 50 milligrams per dl will give you a pink plasma. Okay, it will give you a pink plasma. While in marked hemolysis, plasma levels may reach 1 gram per dl. Okay, in marked hemolysis, plasma levels may reach 1 gram per dl. And yes, the color of the plasma may persist. The pink color may persist or darker. Okay, or darker. Uh, what do you call this? Intact red cells that were able to escape or that, yes, intact red cells that are added to the urine elsewhere in the, yes, elsewhere in the urinary tract can be lysed. Okay, they can be lysed due to dilute. Okay, due to a dilute urine or due to an alkaline urine, causing the liberation of hemoglobin. Okay, nabanggit ko po ito kanina. Yes, I mentioned this one earlier. Okay, intact red cells from the different sites of the tubules and from the different sites of the urinary tract can be lysed. They can be lysed by dilute urine or by alkaline urine, thereby releasing hemoglobin, which may cause hemoglobinuria, Okay, please note that the plasma hemoglobin level is more often increased in severe acquired hemolytic anemias compared to hereditary hemolytic anemias. Again, plasma levels of plasma levels of severe acquired hemolytic anemias, they have greater than those than the plasma hemoglobin levels of those with hereditary hemolytic anemias. Okay, moderate elevations of hemoglobin in the blood is seen in sickle cell disease and homozygous thalassemias. Okay, moderate elevations or moderate increase of hemoglobin in the blood or in the plasma is seen with sickle cell disease and homozygous thalassemias. Please note that hemoglobinuria indicates significant intravascular hemolysis. Please note that hemoglobinuria or presence of hemoglobinuria indicates significant intravascular hemolysis accordingly. Okay, but then please note that uh, hemoglobin, please note that hemoglobin, right after the episode of hemolysis, or in yes, right after the episode of hemolysis, hemoglobin will not appear right away in the urine. Hemoglobin will not appear right away in the urine. Okay, and so why? Because your body has the ability to salvage hemoglobin. They have the ability to salvage hemoglobin. Okay, your brown recluse spider bite here. Okay, your brown recluse spider bite causes hemoglobinuria. Okay, your brown recluse spider bite causes hemoglobinuria. Of course, it causes hemolysis. Okay, hemolysis, liberating hemoglobin will cause hemoglobinuria. Okay, and so you have here your what they call this you have your causes of hemolysis. And of course, yes, causes of hemolysis that will cause hematuria or hemoglobinuria. Causes of hemolysis that will cause hemoglobinuria. Okay, and so aortic, prosthetic cardiac valves, excessive burns, yes, excessive burns will cause hemoglobinuria. Severe exercise will cause hemoglobinuria. But then please note severe exercise. Okay, in cases of a marathon. Okay, in cases of, let's say for example, you did a whole or full marathon, hindi lang po half marathon. Okay, and so that will cause hemoglobinuria accordingly. What else? Boxing or yes, karate will somewhat produce or cause hemoglobinuria. Okay, yeah. Other than that, your malaria, okay, malaria has the ability to cause hemoglobinuria. Your brown recluse spider bites, this one is a toxin. It will cause hemoglobinuria also. Bartonella, as well as the toxin produced by Clostridium welchi, okay, will cause like hemolysis, causing hemoglobinuria. Okay, G6PD, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Okay, after exposure to an oxidant. Okay, 'di ba? Okay, there is in G6PD, there is what you call this, there is a fragile red cell. Okay, in G6PD, there is a fragile red cell, easily destroyed red cell. Okay, and yes, you have your hemolytic uremic syndrome, thrombocytopenic purpura, and of course, you have uh, oxidative hemolysis brought about by drugs, large doses or exposure to naphthalene or the mothballs. Okay, mothballs. Okay, and so will cause hemolysis and yes, will cause hemoglobinuria also. Sulfonamides, sulfones and nitrofurantoin, they will cause hemoglobinuria also. All of those are causes of hemoglobinuria earlier that your the products of intravascular hemolysis or your hemoglobin, they are not readily excreted. Your body has the ability to salvage hemoglobin. They have the ability to salvage hemoglobin. Of course, you have your haptoglobin, the action of your haptoglobin and the action of your hemopexin here. Okay, and so they are somewhat okay, and so your hemoglobin salvage mechanism, the actions of your hemoglobin and your hemopexin accordingly, please. Okay, and so go back to your okay, hematology. Okay, and then yes, go over again the hemoglobin salvage. Okay, uh, free hemoglobin is readily filtered and reabsorbed by the tubular cells. Okay, yeah. They are again free hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, please note, have free hemoglobin. The hemoglobin that is free, that is not bound to haptoglobin or that is not bound to hemopexin. Okay, free hemoglobin is readily filtered by the glomerulus and can be reabsorbed by your PCT, by your proximal tubule cells, okay, proximal tubular cells. And what happens if this free hemoglobin is reabsorbed by your proximal tubular cells? These free hemoglobin that are reabsorbed can be converted to ferritin and hemosiderin. They can be converted they can be converted into ferritin and hemosiderin inside the renal tubular epithelial cells. Okay, inside the renal tubular epithelial cells. And yes, please note that hemosiderin will be present in the urine 2 to 3 days after an acute hemolytic episode that caused the hemoglobinuria. Again, hemosiderin will be present 2 to 3 days after an acute hemolytic episode that caused the hemoglobinuria. Accordingly, ano bang itsura? Okay, ng hemosiderin. Your hemosiderin can be found as yellow-brown granules that are located inside the epithelial cells and seen, okay, in casts. But then, hemosiderin can also be seen as free yellow-brown granules. Hemosiderin can also be seen as free yellow-brown granules. Okay, and so they can be seen as free yellow-brown granules, meaning they are not located inside the epithelial cell or they are not part of the cast. Okay, aside from aside from hemolysis, aside from intravascular hemolysis, hemosiderin also appears in the urine or urine sediment in diseases with a true siderosis of the renal parenchyma in cases of hemochromatosis. Okay, in cases of hemochromatosis, hemosiderin may appear in the urine sediment. Okay, and yes, please note that presence of hemosiderin in the urine is an indicator of a chronic hemolytic state. Please note that uh, hemosideриnuria, hemosideриnuria indicates a chronic hemolytic state. But then, okay, but then the presence of hemosiderin in the urine is rarely needed to make hemolytic diagnosis. Okay, do not rely, meaning do not rely on the presence of hemosiderin in the urine to diagnose hemolysis or to diagnose intravascular hemolysis. To diagnose intravascular hemolysis. Please note that hemosideриnuria may be supported by quantitation of urinary iron. Okay, in cases of hemosideриnuria, there is an increased amount of urinary iron. Okay, just to give you an idea that the normal urinary iron excretion is about 0.1 milligrams per 24 hours. The normal urinary iron excretion is about 0.1 milligrams per 24 hours. And yes, this normal excretion rate, yes, normal excretion per day is elevated in cases of hemochromatosis and in what we call this in hemolytic in chronic hemolytic episodes. Okay, or also in association with erythrocytes traumatized by prosthetic heart valves. Okay, but then please note that in pernicious anemia and hereditary spherocytosis, in cases of pernicious anemia and hereditary spherocytosis, the urinary iron levels is or are normal. The urinary iron levels are normal. It is within or below 0.1 milligrams per 24 hours. Okay? Since andito na po tayo kay hemosiderin. Okay, and so hemosiderin is detected in the urine by or what you call this demonstrated in the urine by using your Pearl's Prussian blue or Prussian blue stain. Okay, and so your Prussian blues reaction, this one is utilized to demonstrate iron in hemosiderin accordingly. Okay, of course, your hemosiderin granules, they appear as blue granules once stained with Prussian blue. Your hemosiderin granules, they appear blue granules once they are stained with the pearls with the Prussian blue reagent. Okay, what do you call this? Other than your pearls Prussian blue or other than Prussian blue to detect or to demonstrate hemosiderin in the urine. Okay, and so iron stains used in the detection of siderocytes may be utilized. Okay, iron stains used for the detection of siderocytes in the blood or bone marrow may be utilized to demonstrate hemosiderin in the urine. Globbinuria here. Your myoglobin, this is excreted in the urine as a red-brown pigment. Okay, excreted in the urine as a red-brown pigment. When you say myoglobinuria again, there is the presence of myoglobin in the urine. There is the presence of myoglobin in the urine accordingly. So what are the causes of myoglobinuria? First, of course, is you have your muscle destruction or your rhabdomyolysis. Okay, muscle destruction due to muscular trauma or crush syndromes, prolonged coma, convulsions, muscle wasting diseases, alcoholism, drug abuse, and extensive exertion. Okay, extensive exertion. Hazing also causes myoglobinuria. What else? Your cholesterol lowering statin medications will cause myoglobinuria also. Cholesterol lowering statin medications will cause myoglobinuria also. Aside from that, uh, other associations of myoglobinuria, recurrent, other associations of myoglobinuria, you have your dermatomyositis. Aside from that, defects of muscle phosphofructokinase and adenosine monophosphate deaminase, mitochondrial trifunctional protein deficiency, and metabolic myopathies. All of those I mentioned, they are associated with recurrent myoglobinuria. They are associated with recurrent myoglobinuria. Please note that in cases of rhabdomyolysis, the patient has muscle tenderness. Okay, and so someone or in patients with rhabdomyolysis, the patient has muscle tenderness or cramps, and they void a red-brown urine within 1 to 2 days of after exertion. Again, patients with rhabdomyolysis, they have muscle tenderness and they have cramps or muscle tenderness or cramps, and they void or they have a urine that is colored red-brown colored urine within 1 to 2 days after exertion. Okay, within 1 to 2 days after exertion. And yes, the urine of individuals with rhabdomyolysis usually clears in 2 to 3 days. Okay, the urine of individual with rhabdomyolysis usually clears in 2 to 3 days accordingly. Okay, please note that strenuous exercise such as marathon and karate, okay, they cause myoglobinuria. Strenuous exercise such as marathon and karate, they cause myoglobinuria. By the way, it is myoglobinuria. It's not hemoglobinuria. Okay, but then strenuous exercise will also cause hemoglobinuria. But then not marathon and karate. Okay, and so I think I mentioned kasi na ganun earlier. Anyway, and please don't forget that your myoglobin, this one is toxic to your renal tubules. Your myoglobin is toxic to your renal tubules. And yes, it can cause acute tubular necrosis leading to acute renal failure if not corrected. Note that your hematuria, your hemoglobinuria, and your myoglobinuria may be difficult to distinguish. Okay, may be difficult to distinguish. Please note that uh, all of them, your hematuria, hemoglobinuria, and myoglobinuria, they have a color that ranges from dark red to brown. Okay, all of them, your hematuria, hemoglobinuria, and myoglobinuria, they have a color that ranges from dark red to brown. And some red cells are seen microscopically, but then most numerous intact red cells are seen in cases of hematuria. And all of them, hematuria, hemoglobinuria, and myoglobinuria, all of them, they give a positive reagent strip test. They give a positive reagent strip test. Okay, examining the serum of individuals, examining the serum will somewhat help in determining if that is hematuria, hemoglobinuria, or myoglobinuria. Okay, the serum of the serum of hemoglobinuria will have a pink color, while the serum of someone that presents myoglobinuria will have a clear or normal serum color. So, let's differentiate your hematuria, your hemoglobinuria, and your myoglobinuria. Please note that for your hematuria, the color ranges from normal to smoky red, red, pink, brown. Okay, those are the colors of uh, urine with the numerous intact red cells. Okay, during microscopic examination, intact red cells are seen, or there are many intact red cells. Okay, please note that if the origin of the renal, or if the origin of the blood cell is from the kidneys, you it will produce cast or red blood cell cast. Red blood cell casts are seen if the origin of the hematuria, or origin of the bleeding, origin of the blood is from the kidneys. But if the origin is from the lower urinary tract, there will be no red cell cast. No red cell cast if the origin of the hematuria or origin is from the lower urinary tract. Okay, and yes, protein is markedly increased in cases of hematuria. As for the plasma, okay, as for the plasma, you have a normal plasma color. You have a normal plasma color. And then you have your hemoglobinuria. Hemoglobinuria, the urine color is pink. Okay, the urine color is pink, red, or brown. Pink, red, or brown accordingly. Okay, erythrocytes are occasional. That's what we said earlier. Okay, microscopic examination, no? Microscopic examination, pinakamarami po sa hematuria. Okay, Casts, pigment casts are occasionally seen. Okay, and hemosiderin is seen late. Okay, and so hemosiderin is seen late after the hemolytic episode. 'Di ba? Sabi natin, hemosiderin is seen 2 to 3 days after your hemolytic episode. Okay? And yes, the color of the urine, sorry, color of the plasma is pink. Okay? Haptoglobin levels, in case of hemoglobinuria, you have low haptoglobin levels. You have low haptoglobin levels in cases of hemoglobinuria. And you have a pink color in early hemolysis or in early hemoglobinuria. And then myoglobinuria, the color red-brown. Okay, the color is red-brown. And then same occasional erythrocytes during microscopic exam. And you have dense brown casts that are occasional also. And protein is either present or absent. Same with hemoglobinuria. Protein is either present or absent. Protein is either present or absent also with hemoglobinuria. But then please note, kay hematuria, the protein is markedly increased. Okay? And yes, okay, chemistry. Chemistry for your myoglobinuria. Haptoglobin is normal. Okay, because again, haptoglobin does not bind with the myoglobin. Okay, creatine kinase is increased. Okay, creatine kinase is increased, and then aldolase is also increased. Aldolase is also increased. As for the color of the plasma or the serum, the color is normal, normal color. So both hematuria and myoglobinuria, you have a normal color of the plasma. Kakaiba po for your hemoglobinuria, which presents a pink color. Okay. Note, as for the normal value of blood in the urine, no blood in the form of hematuria, hemoglobinuria, or myoglobinuria should be detected in the urine. Okay, please note this one. No blood in the form of hematuria, hemoglobinuria, or myoglobinuria should be detected in the urine. A red cell greater than 5 red blood cells per UL is clinically significant. Greater than 5 red blood cells per UL, please note per UL is clinically significant. Okay? Still, comparison or differentiation of hemoglobinuria and myoglobinuria. This time, okay, in this procedure, in the plasma examination, you need a whole blood sample. You collect blood from someone, okay, suspected with the hemoglobinuria. You collect blood and then you examine. I mean, you centrifuge and then examine the plasma. If the plasma is red or pink, then it is hemoglobinuria. The urine, okay, and so yes, it is hemoglobinuria. Clinical chemistry correlation, there is decreased haptoglobin levels. Myoglobin, okay, if myoglobin is present, if there is normal plasma color with increased creatine kinase and lactate dehydrogenase enzymes as well as aldolase enzyme. Okay, and then you have your Blandheim test. Blandheim test, it utilizes 2.8 grams of ammonium sulfate. It utilizes 2.8 grams of ammonium sulfate. Okay, and yes, we will take a look at the procedure in the next slide. Your uh, hemoglobin is present if the supernatant in Blandheim test is clear and the supernatant gives a negative reaction in blood reagent strip. Myoglobin is present if red, if the supernatant is red and the supernatant gives a positive reaction to blood reagent strip. Okay, please note that hemoglobin is insoluble to 80%. Please note that hemoglobin is insoluble to 80% saturated ammonium sulfate, while myoglobin is soluble. While myoglobin is soluble. Hemoglobin is insoluble to 80% saturated ammonium sulfate. And since it is soluble, hemoglobin is insoluble, it will precipitate. It will precipitate. Kaya po magkakaroon ng clear supernatant here. Take a look at the procedure. Okay, your Blandheim test again here is a salt precipitation method. It is a salt precipitation method. But then, please note before I forget, your Blandheim test is already yeah, it is an ancient method somewhat, no? It is an ancient method. Please note that nowadays, immunoassay, immunoassay can detect myoglobin. Immunoassay can detect myoglobin. Electrophoresis also. Electrophoresis uh, has been shown to separate urinary hemoglobin from myoglobin based on their electrophoretic mobility. Okay, electrophoresis has been shown to successfully separate hemoglobin, urinary hemoglobin from myoglobin based, of course, on their electrophoretic mobility. Okay, balik po tayo kay Blantyre test. First, accordingly, is you need to screen for protein. Okay, you need to screen for protein. Okay, by the way, the sample required for Blandheim test is a fresh urine sample. Fresh urine sample accordingly. Of course, you observe the color. You observe the color. Okay, and so myoglobinuria, you have red urine. Okay, and so if freshly collected and upon standing it turns brown, oxidation will cause the color to change into a brown color. Okay, again, a urine color with myoglobin, a urine with myoglobin, originally, freshly it is red. Freshly it is red. But then upon oxidation or upon standing, the urine turns brown. Okay? But then it is not always the case that there is that the reddish color of myoglobinuria will turn into brown. There are some myoglobin may be present, but then it cannot cause a color change. And yes, okay, since myoglobin na lang po ang pinag-uusapan natin, myoglobin is less stable at an acid pH. Myoglobin is less stable at an acid pH. Okay, so again, first, you need to screen for protein. Okay, do your SSA, 1 ml of urine plus 3 ml, 3% SSA. Okay, if the pigment is precipitated, it is a protein. Then filter, okay, and if the filtrate is a normal color, it indicates a no abnormal non-protein pigment that is present. Okay, please note that your heat and acetic acid test does not detect or does not precipitate myoglobin and hemoglobin. That is why SSA po ang gamitin. Okay, SSA again, 1 ml of urine plus 3 ml, 3% SSA. If the pigment or if the pigment is precipitated, it is a protein. And then after that, you filter. If the filtrate is n- if the filtrate has a normal color, then there is no abnormal non-protein pigment that is present. Okay, you do this using SSA because hidden acetic acid test does not precipitate myoglobin or hemoglobin. Okay, this time, okay, to a 5 ml urine, you dissolve 2.8 grams of ammonium sulfate. You dissolve 2.8 grams of ammonium sulfate through mixing, of course. Okay, if you did dissolve 2.8 grams of ammonium sulfate in 5 ml urine, then, okay, it is now 80% saturated with ammonium sulfate. The urine already is saturated with or 80% saturated with ammonium sulfate. Please note that this 80% saturation with ammonium sulfate is the optimal, okay, saturation for precipitation of hemoglobin. For the precipitation of hemoglobin. Okay? Of course, again, so after saturation, you filter or you centrifuge. You filter or you centrifuge. So here's the result. If you have clear supernatant, hemoglobin is present. Because again, hemoglobin is precipitated kasi it is insoluble and it will precipitate. If you have a colored supernatant, myoglobin is present. Okay, dagdagan po natin. Test the supernatant with blood reagent strip. Okay? If hemoglobin is present, it will give you a negative result. If myoglobin is present in this colored supernatant, it will give a positive blood reagent strip. That is for your blood time test. Okay, and then you have your reagent strip method for blood. Okay, the principle employed is a pseudoperoxidase activity of hemoglobin or pseudoperoxidase activity of heme. Okay, so if you were asked during the quiz, what is the principle employed? Pseudoperoxidase activity of hemoglobin or pseudoperoxidase activity of heme. Huwag naman pong blood. Okay? Huwag naman pong isagot pseudoperoxidase activity of blood. Ang isagot nyo either pseudoperoxidase activity of hemoglobin or pseudoperoxidase activity of heme. Okay? Uh, the reagents employed is benzidine. Okay, the reagents employed is benzidine, or the chromogen, or the indicator, or the chromogen employed is benzidine. For multi-sticks, you have your diisopropyl benzene, dihydroperoxide tetramethylbenzidine. For your chem strip, you have your dimethyl dihydroxy peroxyhexane tetramethylbenzidine. Basta benzidine. Okay, please don't forget. Okay, basta benzidine po. Hindi ko naman po kayo bibigyan ng kakaiba na hindi ko naman po babaguhin itong mga 'to kapag, nagpa-quiz ako. Okay, pakitandaan po basta benzidine, 'no? Okay, actually, this one is the principle employed here is just the same with the principle employed in, the detection of, uh, occult blood. Okay, in the detection of occult blood. 'Di ba? You have benzidine method. No, anyway, okay. And so you have your pseudoperoxidase activity of hemoglobin for your reagent strip method for blood. Okay, and so before we take a look at uh, the the sensitivity values, please note, let's take a look at the process. Okay, H2O2, please note, hydrogen peroxide, it is present in hydrogen peroxide and benzidine, they are embedded in, yes, hydrogen peroxide and your diisopropyl dihydroperoxide. Okay, and so yes, hydrogen peroxide is present in the pad. Hydrogen peroxide is present in the pad as well as the benzidine. Okay, and so of course, ito na din po ang source ng hydrogen peroxide. Okay, what happens here? So in the presence of heme, okay, in the presence of heme, it will liberate oxygen. Okay? In the presence of heme, it will liberate oxygen from hydrogen peroxide. It will liberate oxygen from hydrogen peroxide. And what will your oxygen do? It will oxidize your benzidine. It will oxidize the benzidine. Okay? Causing a color change. Okay? Yes, it will, the heme here, again, the hemoglobin or the heme will break down hydrogen peroxide. It will cause the release of oxygen from heme. And the oxygen will oxidize, the chromogen will oxidize the benzidine, producing an oxidized chromogen and water. Okay? Oxidized. Okay? Oxidized chromogen. Dinagdagan mo. Parang ganon. Oxidized chromogen. Okay? That is for the principle, or yes, that is for the principle behind. Again, in superoxidase activity of hemoglobin or heme, your heme catalyzes the oxidation of tetramethylbenzidine to produce a green color. Okay, to produce a green color. And yes, okay, the strip is read at 60 seconds following sample application. The strip, the blood strip is read at 60 seconds following sample application. And yes, please note that your pseudoperoxidase activity of hemoglobin, this one is based on the ability or based on the liberation of oxygen from peroxide in the reagent strip. Okay? And so, yes, question, no? Sabi natin, hemoglobin lang, heme. What if intact red cells? What if intact red cells ang meron? What happens is, the intact red cells are lysed. Okay, and so they are lysed, causing the release of hemoglobin. The intact red cells are lysed, causing the release of hemoglobin. Of course, the intact red cells, they are lysed. Okay, and so yung mga dumikit, okay, the intact red cells that has come in contact with the reagent pad, with the blood reagent pad, they are lysed. That is why, please note, very important, well-mixed urine sample po dapat. Okay? You mix well the urine sample before you immersing the reagent strip. Okay, intact red cells are lysed to cause the release of hemoglobin. And of course, okay, and so your heme will catalyze the oxidation of tetramethylbenzidine to produce a green color. Okay, to produce a green color. Okay, and so yes, as for the sensitivity for your multi-sticks, you have 5 to 20 red blood cells per UL, okay, or 0.015 to 0.62 milligrams per DL hemoglobin. Okay, and so that is the sensitivity value. For chemstrip, as low as 5 red cells per UL. Okay, please note that 10 lysed red cells is equal to 3 milligrams per 0.3 milligrams per DL hemoglobin, or it's the other way around. 0.3 milligrams per DL hemoglobin is equal to 10 lysed red cells. Or 10 lysed red cells will produce 0.3 milligrams per DL of hemoglobin somewhat. Okay, and so anyway, going back again, the normal hemoglobin content of a red blood cell. Again, the normal hemoglobin content of a single red blood cell is 30 picograms of hemoglobin. Normal red blood cell, in a normal red blood cell, the normal amount of hemoglobin is 30 picograms. Okay? And so if intact red cells are present in the urine sample, you have a spotted blue. If hemoglobin or myoglobinuria, if hemoglobin or myoglobin is present, uniform blue or green color. Okay? Interferences for your blood or reagent strip, yes. You have high specific gravity will cause a false negative reading. Why? High specific gravity will cause a false negative reading because the red cells are not lysed. Red cells are not lysed. Okay? False negative, unmixed urine. Okay? Baka pala, nagsettle na sa bottom yung blood cells. Okay? Nitrite of greater than 10 milligrams per dl will delay the reaction. It will delay the reaction. Formalin, captopril, ascorbic acid, these ones will give a false negative readings. Your ascorbic acid is a reducing agent. Okay? Will give you a false negative reading. Okay, and yes, your oxidizing substances or strong oxidizing substances will give you a false positive reactions. Bacterial peroxidases. Okay, bacterial peroxidases will give you a false positive reactions also. Okay, uh, yes, oxidizing agent. A good example is your bleach or hypochlorite, iodine. Okay, menstrual contamination, of course, again, so false positive. Okay, and so menstrual contamination, or yes, it does not indicate a disease process. Okay, it does not indicate a disease process. Please note again, hemosiderin, it appears in the urine 2 to 3 days after a hemolytic episode. And yes, it will give a negative result for blood reagents. Your hemosiderin will give a negative result for blood reagent strip. So this one is the color chart for your blood reagent strip. Okay, and so you read at 60 seconds. Of course, that is your negative. Okay, and green or blue if positive. Okay, and so yes. And yes, that ends your blood, okay, determination or determination of blood in the urine. Thank you so much. This has been Gael, reminding you to live fully, love deeply, love often, keep learning, and never forget to enjoy the ride. And as you move forward, may you always choose curiosity over fear, kindness over convenience, and growth over comfort. And yes, you celebrate your small victories, you honor your quiet moments, and trust that every step, no matter how uncertain, shapes the story you are meant to tell. The world is wide, your time is precious, and your journey is uniquely yours. So go make it extraordinary. Thank you. Thank you so much, and see you around.